The guard patrols stationed along the beach, roused by the sound of gunfire and urgent shouts of warning from the interior of the swamp, stood or knelt with ready weapons as the clamor swiftly approached the sea. The dismal, reedy beach lay fully exposed in the harsh glare of searchlights. Waves rolled in toward shore, splashing white crests of foam far up the sands. In the searchlight's illumination, the dark waters glistened with an oily iridescence. The shrill cries increased. The watchers tensed, waiting. And suddenly, across the long, dreary flats, clotted with weed stalks and sunken drifts, there burst into view a nightmare shape which froze the shore patrols in their tracks. A thing of slimy blackness, a thing which had no essential shape, no discernible earthly features, rushed through the thorn thickets and onto the flats. It was a shape of utter darkness. 1 second a great flapping hood, the next a black viscid pool of living ooze which flowed upon itself, sliding forward with incredible speed. Some of the guards remained rooted where they stood, too overcome with horror to pull the triggers of their weapons. Others broke the spell of terror and began firing. Bullets from half a dozen rifles tore into the black monster speeding across the mudflats. As the thing neared the end of the flats and approached the first sand dunes of the open beach, the patrol guards who had flushed it from the swamp broke into the open. One of them paused, bellowing at the beach guards. "It's heading for the sea! For God's sake, don't let it escape!" The beach guards redoubled their firing, suddenly realizing with a kind of sick horror that the monster was apparently unaffected by the rifle slugs. Without a single pause, it rolled through the last fringe of cattails and flopped onto the sands. As in a hideous nightmare, the guards saw it flap over the nearest sand dune and slide toward the sea. A moment later, however, they remembered the barbed wire beach barrier, which Chief Underbeck had stubbornly insisted on their erecting. Gaining heart, they closed in, running over the dunes toward the spot where the black horror would strike the wire. Someone in the lead yelled in sudden triumph, "It's caught! It's stuck in the wire!" The searchlights concentrated swaths of light on the barrier. The thing had reached the barbed wire fence and apparently flung itself against the twisted strands. Now it appeared to be hopelessly caught. It twisted and flopped and squirmed like some unspeakable giant jellyfish snared in a fisherman's net. The guards ran forward, sure of their victory. All at once, however, the guard in the lead screamed a wild warning. "It's squeezing through! It's getting away!" In the glare of light, they saw with consternation that the monster appeared to be flowing through the wire like a bob of liquescent ooze. Ahead lay a few yards of downward slanting beach and, beyond that, rolling breakers of the open sea. There was a collective gasp of horrified dismay as the monster, with a quick forward lurch, squeezed through the barrier. It tilted there briefly, twisting, as if a few last threads of itself might still be entangled in the wire. As it moved to disengage itself and rush down the wet sands into the Black Sea, one of the guards hurled himself forward until he was almost abreast of the barrier. Sliding to his knees, he aimed at the escaping hood of horror. A second later, a great searing spout of flame shot from his weapon and burst in a smoky red blossom against the thing on the opposite side of the wire. Black, oily smoke billowed into the night. A ghastly stench flowed over the beach. The guards saw a flaming mass of horror grope away from the barrier. The soldier who aimed the flamethrower held it remorselessly steady. There was a hideous bubbling, hissing sound. Vast gouts of thick, greasy smoke swirled into the night air. The indescribable stench became almost unbearable. When the soldier finally shut off the flamethrower, there was nothing in sight except the white, hot, glowing wires of the barrier and a big patch of blackened sand. With good reason, the mantle of slime had hated light, for its ultimate source was fire, the final unknown enemy, which even the Black Hood could not drag down and devour.